what we believe about addiction matters. What you believe about addiction matters. In fact, if you look at health, if you look at epidemics, if you look at illnesses over all time, you'll see that what the people of the time believed about them really mattered. Today, we understand better than ever that addiction is a disease. It is a disease that attacks the organ, the brain. And we can look at the brain, and our science has come so far that we understand what happens when a person has addiction. Different parts of the brain control different functions. This middle part of the brain is all about instinct. And this front part of the brain is all about instinct control. It's all about your morals and logic. Well, guess what? If a person was starving to death, and we know this, we can look at their brains, and if a person was starving to death, the blood decreases its flow in the front and it brings it to the back. And it kind of puts you in this very primordial state where if you're starving to death, your brain says, don't worry about anything except getting food. And that's what we do. And that's doesn't matter who you are. If you're super smart or super strong or super moral or super great, if you're starving to death, the blood flow in your brain will change and you will be driven to find food. Guess what we now know the brain of a person with addiction looks like? It looks just like that. So when we talk about addiction being a disease, we mean it is a disease where there is a real change in the organ, the brain. The change is that you have decreased blood flow on an ongoing basis in the parts of your brain where your moral centers are, where your impulse control is. And all your blood flow is going to this instinct part of you. When you have the disease of addiction, your brain only says, you must get the drug. You're no longer in control of what's happening to you. But the stigma remains. People still think that it's just people making bad choices. And I understand that. I think we all could understand that. The truth is, if I love someone who has addiction and they're completely focused on getting the drug, well, I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to be left alone. I'm going to be lied to. That's hard to look at that and see this as a disease. But that's why stamping out the stigma is more important than ever, because there's hope. If we recognize what this really is, if we see the disease as a disease, then we can stop trying to punish it or ignore it or run away from it, and we can treat it. And if you treat it, there's hope. There is restoration. There's healing. Healing in the brain, healing in the body, healing in the mind, and healing in the spirit. And I can promise you that I've seen again and again healing in relationships. It's hard sometimes when you're in the midst, when you love someone who has addiction. It's hard to remember that what we're dealing with is a disease.
Today is the day.
Today is the day.
Today is the day
Today is the day
We break
the stigma
of addiction.